Scout Captain Jin Woo stared at the screen in front of him. His ship moved slowly through the dark space between stars. For 3 months, his crew had been mapping this empty part of the galaxy. They were looking for new planets, new resources, new places for the Galactic Council to expand their territory. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Jin Woo's crew worked at their stations, scanning star after star. Most systems they found were empty. Some had dead rocks floating around dying suns. Others had gas giants with no solid ground to land on. "Captain," called out Navigator Sung-min from his station. "I'm picking up something strange ahead." Jin Woo walked over to look at Sung-min's screen. A yellow star appeared on the display, burning bright and steady. Around it, several planets moved in perfect circles. "Run a full scan," Jin Woo ordered. The ship's powerful sensors reached out across space. Data began flowing across their screens. Jin Woo's eyes grew wide as he read the numbers. "This can't be right," he whispered. The third planet from the yellow star showed readings that made no sense. The surface temperature was perfect for liquid water. The atmosphere had oxygen and nitrogen in exactly the right amounts. But that wasn't the shocking part. "Captain, look at this," said Science Officer Min Jung, her voice excited. "The biodiversity readings are off the charts. This planet has millions of different life forms." Jin Woo had surveyed hundreds of planets in his career. He had seen worlds with simple life. He had found planets with basic creatures swimming in their oceans. But he had never seen anything like this. "How many species?" he asked. "The computer stopped counting at 10 million, Min Jung replied. "And Captain, that's just what we can detect from here." Jin Woo felt his heart beating faster. A planet with this much life would be the discovery of his career. The Galactic Council would reward him greatly. But as he watched the data stream across his screen, he realized something else was strange. "The planet isn't dying," he said out loud. "Most planets with life eventually used up their resources. The creatures would grow too many in number. They would eat everything, pollute their air and water, then die off. It happened on every world they had studied. But this planet's readings showed something different. The air was clean. The oceans were full of life. The forests covered huge parts of the land. Whatever was happening down there, the life forms had found a way to live without destroying their world." "Captain," Sung-min called out again, "you need to see this." Jin Woo hurried back to the navigation station. Sung-min pointed at his screen with a shaking finger. "Lights," Sung-min said. "Artificial lights on the night side of the planet." Jin Woo's breath caught in his throat. Artificial lights meant intelligence. Intelligence meant a new species for the Galactic Council to study, contact, and eventually control. "Are you certain?" Jin Woo asked. "Look for yourself, Captain." Jin Woo stared at the screen. Tiny dots of light sparkled across the dark half of the planet. They formed patterns that nature could never create. Straight lines, perfect circles, geometric shapes that only intelligent minds could build. "Run deeper scans," Jin Woo ordered. "I want to know everything about this species." For the next several hours, Jin Woo's crew worked to gather more information. What they found made them question everything they knew about intelligent life. The creatures on the planet had built cities, but they had also left huge areas wild and untouched. They had developed technology, but their air was cleaner than most dead planets. They had spread across every continent, but somehow the other life forms were still thriving. "Captain," Min Jung said, her voice full of wonder, "these readings don't make sense. This species appears to be actively helping their planet heal." "What do you mean?" "I'm detecting massive reforestation projects. They're cleaning their oceans. They're actually bringing extinct species back to life, using their technology." "Captain, I've never seen anything like this." Jin Woo walked to the center of his bridge. He looked out at the stars through the main viewing window. In his 50 years of space exploration, He had seen intelligence develop the same way on every planet. First, the creatures would use up their resources. Then they would fight wars over what was left. Finally, they would either destroy themselves or escape to other planets to start the cycle over again. But this species seemed different. They had reached a level of technology that should have meant their planet was dead or dying. Instead, their world appeared to be getting healthier. "Captain, communications," Officer Hay-1 spoke up from her station. "I'm picking up their transmissions. They have a global network. They're sharing information across their entire planet." "About what?" "Everything, sir. Scientific research, art, music, stories, but also something else. They're coordinating efforts to protect other species. They have global agreements to preserve wilderness areas. They're actually limiting their own expansion to save room for other creatures." Jin Woo felt dizzy. This went against everything the Galactic Council knew about intelligence. Smart creatures were supposed to put themselves first. They were supposed to expand, consume, and dominate. That was the natural way of things. "Sir," Hay-1 continued, "they call themselves humans." Jin Woo made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. According to protocol, they should observe for 100 years before making contact. They should study the humans carefully and report back to the Council. They should follow the rules that had worked for millions of years. But something deep inside Jin Woo told him these humans were different. Something told him that the galaxy needed to know about them right away. "Set course for home," he ordered. "Maximum speed." "Captain?" Sungmin asked, confused. "We're breaking protocol," Jin Woo said. "The Council needs to see this immediately." As his ship turned away from the blue-green planet, Jin Woo took one last look at the impossible world. Somewhere down there, humans were living in a way that no other intelligent species had ever managed. They had found a way to grow strong while keeping their world healthy. Jin Woo didn't know it yet, but his discovery would soon shake every civilization in every galaxy. Senior Research Commander He-Jin stood on the bridge of the largest research vessel in the galactic fleet. Her ship hung in space near the edge of the human solar system, hidden from detection by advanced cloaking technology. 3 weeks had passed since Jin Woo's emergency report reached the Council, and now she commanded a team of the galaxy's best scientists. "Begin full-spectrum analysis," He-Jin ordered. Around her, 50 specialists worked at their stations. They had spent years studying intelligent species across the galaxy. Each one was an expert in how civilizations developed, how they grew, and how they eventually fell apart. Dr. Yoon Seo, the team's behavioral specialist, was the first to speak. "Commander, I'm seeing something that doesn't fit our models." "Explain," He-Jin said, moving to look at his screen. "Watch this, Doctor," Yoon Seo said, pointing to a live feed from the planet's surface. "This region is experiencing what the humans call a natural disaster. A massive storm system, with powerful winds and flooding." Hai-Jin watched as the storm swept across a large landmass. Cities disappeared underwater. Wind tore apart buildings. It looked like destruction she had seen on many worlds. "Now watch what happens next," Dr. Yunseo continued. On the screen, He-Jin saw something impossible. As soon as the storm passed, humans from other regions began arriving. They brought food, clean water, and medical supplies. But that wasn't the strange part. The strange part was who they were helping. "Commander," Dr. Yunseo said, his voice filled with confusion. "They're not just helping their own people. They're saving natural animals too. Look." The screen showed humans in small boats, rescuing wild creatures from the floodwaters. She watched them pull deer, rabbits, and even snakes to safety. They gave medical care to injured birds. They worked for hours to save creatures that provided them no benefit at all. "This makes no sense," Dr. Yoon Seo said. "These humans are using their limited rescue resources on non-intelligent animals. From an evolutionary standpoint, This behavior should have been eliminated millions of years ago. Heijin frowned. Every intelligent species she had studied put their own survival first. It was the most basic rule of life. Yet here were humans risking their lives to save creatures that couldn't even thank them. "Show me more," she ordered. Communications specialist Kyung-ho activated another screen. "Commander, I've been monitoring their global information network. What I'm finding is equally impossible." Images flowed across the display. Humans working together to clean polluted rivers. Humans creating massive protected areas where no development was allowed. Humans spending enormous amounts of resources to save species that were almost extinct. "Look at this," Kyung-ho said, highlighting a particular transmission. "They have an international agreement to limit their fishing. They're actually catching fewer fish so that fish populations can recover." Heijin stared at the screen. "They're limiting their own food supply?" "2. Crude." "Yes, Commander. And this isn't rare behavior. I'm finding thousands of examples. They restrict their own hunting, limit their expansion into wild areas, and spend massive resources protecting creatures they'll never see." Dr. Park So-jin, the team's expert on warfare and conflict, looked up from her station. "Commander, you need to see this. I'm analyzing their military behavior." "Go ahead. They fight wars, like all intelligent species. But Commander, they also do something that should be impossible. They have laws about how they fight. They try not to hurt civilians. They provide medical care to their enemies. And after their wars end, they often help rebuild the places they destroyed." Heijin felt her understanding of intelligence begin to crack. War was about defeating your enemies completely. It was about taking their resources and eliminating threats. It wasn't about helping your enemies recover. "There's more," Dr. So-jin continued. "I found records of humans sharing critical resources with their enemies during times of disaster. During floods, earthquakes, and diseases, they send aid even to nations they're fighting against." The research team worked in stunned silence for hours, documenting behavior that challenged everything they knew. Finally, Dr. Lee Min-ho, their senior xenobiologist, made an announcement that would change everything. "Commander, I need to report something that sounds impossible." "At this point, Dr. Lee, I'm prepared to believe anything. I've been analyzing their entertainment and literature. Commander, humans create stories from the perspective of other species. They write books imagining what it would be like to be a wolf, a whale, or a tree. They make movies where animals are the heroes, and humans are the villains." Heijin felt cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that humans show genuine empathy for creatures they've never met. They imagine the inner lives of beings completely different from themselves. Commander, they see other life forms as having value beyond their usefulness to humanity." The bridge fell completely silent. In millions of years of studying intelligence across the galaxy, no species had ever shown true empathy for other forms of life. Intelligence was about survival. It was about competition. It was about winning. Dr. Lee continued. "Commander, I found something else. Humans feel emotional pain when they see other creatures suffering. Their bodies actually produce the same chemicals that they would if they were being hurt themselves. They cry when they watch their entertainment stories where fictional animals die." "Fictional animals?" Heijin asked weakly. "Yes, Commander. They feel grief for creatures that never existed, in stories they created themselves." Heijin walked to the main viewing window and looked out at the blue planet hanging in space. Everything she had learned about intelligence told her that these humans should have destroyed their world long ago. They should have fought endless wars over resources. They should have eliminated or enslaved every other species on their planet. Instead, they were apparently the only intelligent species in the galaxy that had learned to grow stronger through cooperation instead of conquest. "Commander," Dr. Yunseo called out, "there's something else." The humans have a concept they call love. But it's not just for their mates or offspring. They claim to love their pets, wild animals, their planet, and even humans they've never met. Love for strangers? Heejin asked. Yes, Commander. They risk their lives to save humans they don't know. They adopt orphaned children from other continents. They donate resources to help humans suffering in distant countries. It's as if they see all humans as family, regardless of genetic relationship. Heijin realized that her team had discovered something that would terrify and amaze every civilization in the galaxy. Humans had achieved something that was supposed to be impossible. They had become intelligent while keeping their capacity for caring about others. Prepare a full report, she ordered. The Council will never believe this. But they need to know what we've found. As her ship began its journey back to Council space, Heijin wondered if the galaxy was ready to learn that there was a completely different way to be intelligent. The great assembly hall buzzed with confused voices as 10,000 representatives from across 50 galaxies took their seats. Council Speaker Tae Min stood at the center of the vast chamber, his forearms spread wide to call for silence. In his 300 years of leading the Galactic Council, he had never called an emergency session like this. Fellow council members, Tae Min announced, his voice echoing through the hall. We gather today to discuss Research Commander Heijin's report about the species called humans. Murmurs filled the chamber. Representatives from 1,000 different worlds shifted in their seats. Some had shells, others had scales, and many looked nothing like humans at all. But they all shared one thing. They had all followed the same path to intelligence. The report claims these humans show behaviors that contradict everything we know about intelligent development. Tae Min continued. Before we begin, let me remind everyone of the universal laws of intelligence. A holographic display appeared above the chamber, showing the pattern that every known intelligent species had followed. First, Tae Min said, intelligent species compete for resources. Second, they expand their territory by defeating competitors. Third, they use other species for their own benefit. Fourth, they eventually either destroy their planet or leave it to find new resources. These laws have held true for 10 million years across every galaxy we have explored. The chamber erupted in agreement. Representatives nodded their heads, flapped their wings, and made clicking sounds of approval. These laws weren't just theories. They were facts proven by millions of worlds. However, Tae Min continued, Research Commander Heijin claims to have found a species that breaks all these laws. The chamber fell silent. Commander Heijin, present your findings. Heijin stepped forward, her research data ready. Council members, I know what I'm about to show you will seem impossible. My team studied the humans for 2 months, using our most advanced observation technology. The holographic display changed to show Earth spinning slowly in space. The humans have achieved advanced technology, Heijin began. They have global communications, space travel capabilities, and weapons that could destroy their entire planet. According to our laws, this should mean their world is dead or dying. Instead, we found this. The display showed Earth's forests, oceans, and wildlife. Council members gasped as they saw the incredible diversity of life. Representative Kang Ho from the Spiral Arm Coalition stood up. Commander, this is impossible. No intelligent species maintains planetary health after achieving global technology. Our own worlds are proof of this. I understand your disbelief, Heijin replied. But watch what we observed. The display showed humans working to restore damaged ecosystems. It showed them creating massive protected areas where no development was allowed. It showed them spending enormous resources to save species that provided them no benefit. They're using their resources to help other creatures, Heijin explained. Not to exploit them, but to actually help them thrive. Representative Sung Jin from the Outer Rim territories laughed harshly. Commander, you're describing fantasy. Intelligence exists to ensure survival. Helping other species makes a civilization weak. That's what we thought too, Heejin said. But humans appear to have grown stronger through cooperation, not conquest. She showed more footage. Humans from different continents working together on global projects. Humans sharing their most advanced medical technology freely with all other humans. Humans creating art that celebrated the beauty of other species. This cannot be real, declared Representative Oyun from the Central Galaxy Federation. Intelligent beings put themselves first. It's the most basic law of existence. Dr. So Young, the Council's leading expert on species behavior, stood up slowly. Her ancient form moved carefully to the speaking platform. At over 500 years old, she had studied more intelligent species than anyone else in the chamber. Council members, Dr. So Young said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. I have analyzed Commander Heijin's data myself. What she presents challenges our most fundamental understanding of intelligence. The chamber fell completely silent. If Dr. So Young was taking these claims seriously, everyone had to listen. I focused my analysis on human literature and art, Dr. So Young continued. What I found was unprecedented. Humans create stories from the perspective of other species. They write books imagining what it would be like to be a tree, a whale, or a bird. They show genuine concern for the inner lives of creatures, completely different from themselves. Representative Lee Jae-won from the Deep Core Systems stood up angrily. Dr. So Young, with respect, you're describing impossibilities. No intelligent species wastes mental energy imagining the thoughts of inferior creatures. That's exactly my point. Dr. So Young replied calmly. Humans don't see other species as inferior. They see them as different, but valuable. They feel genuine emotional pain when other creatures suffer. Even creatures they've never met. End quote. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded more proof. Others declared the entire report false. Many simply couldn't accept what they were hearing. Tae-min called for order, but the chaos continued. Finally, Representative Park Min-woo from the ancient core worlds stood up. His species was one of the oldest in the galaxy, and his words carried enormous weight. Fellow council members, Park Min-woo said, his telepathic voice reaching every mind in the chamber. I have lived for over 1,000 years. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I have watched species achieve intelligence and follow the exact same path every time. But what if we have been wrong about what intelligence truly means? The chamber fell silent again. What if true intelligence isn't about defeating others? Park, Min-woo continued, but about finding ways for everyone to succeed together? What if humans have discovered something we lost long ago? Impossible, Representative Yujin from the Frontier Territories declared. Intelligence means survival of the fittest. It means taking what you need and eliminating competition. Then explain their planet. Dr. So Young said quietly. Explain how they achieved global technology while maintaining a healthy biosphere. Explain how they developed weapons that could destroy their world, but instead used their intelligence to heal it. The debate raged for hours. Some council members demanded immediate contact with the humans. Others wanted the entire species destroyed before their dangerous ideas could spread. Many simply refused to believe the reports at all. Finally, Tae-min called for a vote. All those in favor of conducting a comprehensive, deep study of human behavior? Slowly, uncertainly, hands and appendages rose throughout the chamber. The vote was close, but it passed. Very well, Tae-min announced. Research Director Min-ho will lead the most comprehensive, covert study in our history. We will learn the truth about these humans, no matter how impossible it seems. As the council session ended, representatives filed out in confused groups, discussing what they had heard. None of them realized that their decision would soon change the course of galactic civilization, forever. The humans, still unaware they were being watched, continued their impossible existence on their blue-green world. Research Director Min Ho floated in the center of his command sphere, surrounded by holographic displays showing every aspect of human civilization. 6 months had passed since the Council authorized the deep study, and his team of 200 specialists had been watching, listening, and analyzing everything the humans did. Daily report, Min Ho called out. Dr. Choi Un-seo, his lead behavioral analyst, activated her display. Director, we've documented another impossible behavior. Yesterday, a human child fell into a river in the region they call China. Within minutes, 17 adult humans jumped in to save her. None of them knew the child. 3 of them couldn't even swim properly. Min Ho studied the footage showing humans forming a chain to pull the child to safety. Analysis? Director, from a survival standpoint, their behavior makes no sense. They risked their lives for a genetic stranger. But here's what's even more impossible. After they saved the child, they celebrated together. The rescue created bonds between humans who had never met before. Min Ho nodded slowly. His team had documented thousands of similar events. Humans consistently risked personal safety to help strangers, and these acts somehow made their communities stronger, rather than weaker. Dr. Kim Jun-ho. What about their economic behaviors? Min Ho asked. The economic specialist activated his screen, showing global human trade patterns. Director, their economic system should have collapsed millennia ago. They regularly give away resources without expecting anything in return. Explain. Watch this, Dr. Kim said, highlighting a section of the globe. This region experienced crop failure due to drought. Instead of raising prices or hoarding food, humans from other continents sent millions of tons of grain for free. Not as investment, not for future favors, but simply because other humans were hungry. Min Ho frowned. That directly contradicts the law of resource competition. It gets stranger, Director. The humans who received the free food then worked to help the regions that gave it to them. They shared new farming techniques, sent medical supplies, and provided education. The act of giving created partnerships instead of dependency. Dr. Park Soo-jin, the team's expert on conflict resolution, looked up from her station. Director, their approach to warfare is equally impossible. Show me. Humans fight conflicts, but they also create what they call international laws about fighting. They try to avoid hurting civilians. They provide medical care to captured enemies. After conflicts end, they often help rebuild what they destroyed. The display showed humans providing food and medical care to people who had been shooting at them weeks earlier. Director, Dr. Park continued, I found records of human soldiers disobeying direct orders to protect enemy civilians. They chose to risk punishment rather than harm non-combatants. This behavior should make them weak, but somehow it makes their military forces more trusted and effective. Min Ho moved to the center of his sphere as more data flowed around him. Every piece of information challenged everything the galaxy knew about intelligence. Dr. Lee Young-suk, report on their relationship with other species. The xenobiology specialist activated a display showing humans interacting with animals. Director, this is where humans become truly impossible to understand. The screen showed humans caring for injured wild animals, creating hospitals specifically for creatures that provided no economic benefit. It showed them spending enormous resources to protect environments they would never visit. Look at this, Dr. Lee said, highlighting a specific area. Humans in this region changed their entire industrial development to protect the breeding grounds of migratory birds. They chose to make less money so that creatures they see for only a few weeks each year could continue their ancient migration patterns. They limited their own growth for animals? Min Ho asked. Yes, Director. And this isn't rare. I've found thousands of examples. They create massive protected areas where no human development is allowed. They spend billions of their currency units to save species that most humans will never see. They pass laws limiting their own fishing, hunting, and resource extraction to ensure other species can survive. Dr. Huang Min-jae, the team's communication specialist, added his findings. Director, I've been analyzing human entertainment and art. They create stories where animals are heroes and humans are villains. They produce entertainment that makes them feel sad about fictional creatures dying. They cry watching stories about dogs, dolphins, or even animated characters that don't exist. Min-ho felt a chill run through his body. They feel grief? For imaginary creatures? Yes, Director. And they use these emotional responses to teach their children to care about real animals. Their entertainment deliberately makes them feel empathy for other forms of life. The research team had been studying humans for months, but Min-ho suddenly realized they had missed the most important discovery of all. Everyone, stop what you're doing, Min-ho announced. I want to test a theory. The sphere fell silent as Min-ho pulled up data on human brain scans, social structures, and evolutionary history. Dr. Song Hae-rin, pull up the comparative intelligence data. Show me how other species develop problem-solving abilities. The display showed the standard pattern. Species became smarter by competing more effectively against other species. Intelligence was a weapon used to defeat enemies and claim resources. Now show me human brain development. The new display showed something completely different. Human brains grew larger areas dedicated to empathy, cooperation, and understanding others' feelings. Their intelligence had developed not to defeat other creatures, but to work together with them. Director, Dr. Song said, her voice filled with amazement. Human intelligence appears to have evolved to make cooperation easier, not competition more effective. Min-ho felt everything click into place. That's it. That's what makes them impossible to understand. Every other intelligent species in the galaxy developed intelligence as a tool for individual or group survival. But humans developed intelligence as a tool for universal cooperation. He pulled up data showing human communities, families, and global organizations. Look at their social structures. They don't just cooperate with genetic relatives like other species. They form lasting bonds with genetic strangers. They adopt children from other continents. They create global organizations dedicated to helping humans they'll never meet. Dr. Choi stared at her data with wide eyes. Director, you're describing something that should be evolutionarily impossible. Caring about genetic strangers should have been eliminated by natural selection. Unless, Min-ho said slowly, unless caring about others actually makes a species stronger. What if empathy isn't a weakness? What if the ability to cooperate with anyone, including other species, is the ultimate survival advantage? The research sphere fell completely silent as the implications hit everyone at once. Director, Dr. Kim whispered, if you're right, then humans represent something entirely new in the universe. They're not just intelligent. They're what we might call symbiotic intelligence. They grow stronger by making everything around them stronger. Min-ho looked out at the blue planet hanging in space and realized that his team had discovered something that would change the galaxy forever. Humans weren't just another intelligent species. They were proof that intelligence and compassion could evolve together, creating something more powerful than either trait alone. The Great Assembly Hall had never been this quiet in 10 million years of galactic civilization. Every representative from every known species sat in complete silence as Min-ho's final report played on the massive holographic display. The data was overwhelming, undeniable, and absolutely impossible to ignore. Council Speaker Tae-min stood at the center of the chamber, his forearms trembling slightly. In all his centuries of leadership, he had never seen anything like this. Around him, 10,000 representatives from 50 galaxies stared at the evidence that challenged everything they thought they knew about intelligence. Fellow council members, Tae-min began, his voice barely above a whisper. Research Director Min-ho has presented us with data that will change the course of galactic history. The holographic display showed human families caring for adopted children from other continents. It showed humans risking their lives to save strangers. It showed them creating global agreements to protect species they would never see. For 10 million years, Taemin continued, we have observed thousands of intelligent species across every galaxy we have explored. Every single one followed the same path. They competed for resources. They expanded through conquest. They used other species for their own benefit. They eventually destroyed their worlds, or fled to destroy others. Representative Kang Ho from the Spiral Arm Coalition raised his hand. Council Speaker, are you saying that every civilization in galactic history has been wrong about intelligence? Taemin paused, looking around the chamber at faces, eyes, and sensory organs from 1,000 different worlds. I am saying that humans represent something genuinely new in the universe. They have achieved advanced intelligence while retaining what every other species lost during development. Which is? Asked Representative Yujin from the Frontier Territories. The ability to see other life as valuable for its own sake, not just for what it can provide to them. Dr. So Young, the Council's ancient expert on species development, slowly rose from her seat. Her 500-year-old voice carried across the silent chamber. Council members, I have studied intelligence longer than most of your species have existed. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I have watched species achieve the stars and then destroy themselves through endless competition. But humans have done something that I thought was impossible. She activated her own display, showing human art, literature, and entertainment. They have maintained their capacity for wonder. They create stories celebrating the beauty of other species. They feel genuine joy when they discover new forms of life. They weep when species go extinct, even species that provide them no benefit whatsoever. The chamber remained silent as representatives absorbed this information. More importantly, Dr. So Young continued, they have learned to grow stronger through cooperation instead of conquest. Their greatest achievements come not from defeating others, but from working together. Their space program, their medical advances, their art, all created through collaboration across their entire planet. Representative Park Min-woo from the ancient core worlds stood up slowly. His telepathic voice reached every mind in the chamber. Dr. So Young, are you suggesting that we, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, need to learn from a species that hasn't even left their own solar system? I am suggesting, Dr. So Young replied, that humans may have discovered something we forgot long ago. The path to true advancement may not be through dominance, but through empathy. The word empathy echoed through the chamber like a stone dropped into still water. Many species had words for understanding others, but only as tools for manipulation or control. The human concept of genuinely caring about others' well-being was foreign to most galactic civilizations. Representative Lee Jae-won from the Deep Core Systems laughed nervously. Dr. So Young, you're describing weakness. Empathy makes species vulnerable. It prevents them from making hard decisions necessary for survival. Then explain their planet, Dr. So Young replied calmly. Explain how they achieved global technology while maintaining a thriving biosphere. Explain how they developed weapons that could destroy their world, but chose instead to use their intelligence to heal it. She showed footage of humans working together to restore damaged ecosystems, to bring extinct species back to life, to clean their oceans and air. Explain how they grew from small tribes to a global civilization without destroying their world in the process. The chamber erupted in confused discussion. Representatives from species that had destroyed dozens of planets struggled to understand how humans had kept their first world healthy. Taemin called for order. The question before us is simple. What do we do with this information? Representative Oh Yan from the Central Galaxy Federation stood up. Council Speaker, some of our member species have been stagnant for millions of years. Our civilizations stopped growing, stopped learning, stopped advancing. We've been managing decline rather than creating progress. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that maybe humans can teach us something about how to grow again. The chamber fell silent again as the implications hit everyone. For the first time in galactic history, advanced civilizations were considering learning from a younger species. Motion to vote, called Representative Sung Jin from the Outer Rim territories. All those in favor of immediate peaceful contact with the humans, Taemin announced. Slowly, uncertainly. Then, with growing confidence, hands, appendages, wings, and tentacles rose throughout the chamber. Species that had never agreed on anything were unanimous in their decision. Motion carries, Taemin announced. We will make contact immediately. 3 days later, Captain Jin Woo stood on the bridge of his scout ship, reading the most unusual orders in galactic history. Sir, Navigator Sung Min said, confused. These orders don't make sense. We're supposed to approach Earth immediately, reveal ourselves, and ask the humans to teach us? Jin Woo smiled, remembering his first glimpse of the impossible blue planet. Set course for Earth, Sung Min. Maximum speed. But Captain, we're violating every first contact protocol. We're approaching as students, not as the advanced civilization. Maybe that's exactly what we should have been doing all along, Jin Woo replied. As his ship turned toward Earth, Jin Woo thought about what was about to happen. For 10 million years, galactic civilizations had made first contact to study, control, or conquer new species. Now, for the first time, they were making contact to learn. Back on Earth, humans continued their impossible existence. They rescued injured animals, created art celebrating other species, and worked together to solve global problems. They had no idea that their simple acts of kindness and cooperation had just changed the course of an entire galaxy. In research stations throughout 50 galaxies, alien scientists began studying their own civilizations with new eyes. They started asking questions they had never thought to ask. What had they lost during their development? Could they learn to see beauty in other life forms? Could they grow stronger through cooperation instead of conquest? The humans, still unaware of the vast cosmic audience watching them, continued to live in their uniquely impossible way. They continued to prove every day that intelligence and compassion could evolve together, creating something more powerful and more beautiful than either trait alone. The galaxy would never be the same.